Why aren't my freelance writing efforts paying off? I am doing all the marketing. I'm onboarding clients. I'm doing all the stuff to try to find the right clients. Why isn't it working? I feel like I'm working my ass off. This is something that I hear all the time from students and from other freelance writers who are at this kind of like gear crunchy level of their business where they just can't get everything to work like a well-oiled machine. There's also this belief sometimes that you can learn everything under the sun for free. And although you can learn a ton of things for free, there are specific systems and processes and certain templates that you have to put in place that are proven or used by a bunch of other freelancers who are successful, or are processes that kind of lift your time so that you have space to do other things, so that you don't feel like you're working your ass off and not really seeing the efforts. So the first thing, number one here, that I often see is that you are riding the roller coaster of marketing. You're not evening out your marketing. You're not using it as like feed the beast. You're going on this up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, which basically means some months you do a ton of marketing, and then there's a whole bunch of months where you don't do any. And then sometimes you're doing really well, and sometimes you're not, and sometimes you're sending LOIs, sometimes you're sending pitches. It's this disorganized soup of doing a ton of different things. So instead of paying attention to doing the marketing on a consistent basis and making sure that you are putting the templates to work, or you're getting an LOI template or a pitch structure that you really like that is getting results, right? Working on that process to talk to the clients, your top clients, in the language that they like to use, basically reading the magazine, being familiar with it for your pitches, and using that pitch as like a little slice of a magazine article. All those things really matter to moving forward. So a lot of times I see this roller coaster, and I'm not talking about the roller coaster of response rates, which can happen sometimes, where sometimes your response rate is 30%, sometimes it's 8%, sometimes it's 12%, sometimes it's 10%. What I'm talking about is the consistency factor. When you're kind of looking at your efforts, are you really spending time on the right needle movers? Are you spending time on the things that really make a difference to what you can control in your business? So who you send the LOI to, the types of clients that you're targeting, the niches that you're working in, your LOI template, how does it look, your pitches, the quality of those, all of those things that are pieces of our business in freelance writing, copywriting, content strategy that we can control. We can't control who answers when, how they answer, what projects they have. We can't control any of that, but we can control our consistent effort. And when I see someone who comes to me and talks to me after all of this time, and they're like, Mandy, I'm really working my ass off. I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm not making very much money. I was there. That's what I did. That's how I burned out in 2018. I did a lot of small jobs. I was not doing enough marketing, and I was being held hostage by all of these small little jobs where I was working all the time. I was working every single day, and I still wasn't making very much money. This is kind of that piece where you have to separate yourself from working in your business to working on your business. So when you're working on your business, this is the part where we get to getting off the roller coaster, getting into a specific system, doing something a little bit every day. So the thing that I usually talk about with my Wealth Lab students and my Runway students is feeding the beast a little every day, or hitting a certain number. So whether that's 50 to 75 LOIs or pitches a month, or you're doing 1 hour of marketing every single day, those things compound over time. So it's kind of that John Maxwell quote where he talks about consistency compounds. This is that idea. We want to ride the consistency train. We don't want to ride like I did 1,000, I scooped 1,000 holes and like hopefully it'll work today. We need to be consistent all the time, because yes, we can get inbound leads. We can improve that. We can reach out to our clients, right? Send these LOIs, do all of our cold stuff. They have to work together. You can't just rely on warm leads, referrals and stuff, because it does dry up. And I have had students come to me after 8, 10 years, 5 years, their referral network dried up and they have no idea how to support their business, and all of a sudden they have no money. So learning these things now evens out that roller coaster. You're being consistent, you're doing it every day, or you're doing your 50 to 75 LOIs or pitches a month. And you're also making sure you're spending your effort on the things that move your business forward. You're really being particular about the types of clients that you're going after, why they make sense, the niches that you're in, the revenue ranges of your clients, how we're actually putting our LOI template together, or our pitch, it's like a pitch format. It's not necessarily a template, but it's a pitch format. how we actually put those things together for getting those high quality clients and speaking their language, that's really important. So if you feel like that's your number one thing, that's the number one thing I hear all the time is like, I'm trying to work my ass off. I tried to figure this out for free, or I went with all these things, it's not working. And what really happens is they're just spending time on the wrong pieces of marketing, on the things they can't control versus what they can control. So focus on those things for number one. Number two here that we're talking about, you are not using those processes and systems to lighten the load. You are doing way too many things manually. And I am talking to you paper people out there. I know that there are bunches of people who love paper. That's great, but you need to create some kind of automation in your business so that not everything is paper. I am not a paper person, so that I tried with paper. It doesn't work. Everything is digital. My calendar, I use Dubsado to run my business. I use Dubsado to onboard for contracts, for proposals, for invoicing, for all of my calendar appointments, for everything in my business. And that helps me automate things. It helps me lighten the load so I can take that time and put it back into my own freelance writing business, content strategy business, into my students, into my funnels or the things that I'm building or the content that I'm creating for clients. That gives me time to separate all these little arms of my business. But I find that oftentimes I get resistance on this about, will it be worth it? If I put all these processes and systems in place, if I build all this out, if I try to automate follow-up, or if I try to automate as much as possible in my business, or if I move away from doing everything on paper, will that actually work? And it will. I know, because I fought it for a long time. In my business, I felt like it wasn't going to work this time. I felt like it wasn't going to work for me. I felt like there was only a handful of specific ways to do freelancing. I felt like there was going to be too much rejection. I was really scared of putting all this effort into the back end of my business, the processes and systems that run the show, because I was scared that it wouldn't pay off, that it would be something that I would be stuck with all this complicated stuff. And that's just not the case. I think that there is a tool, a platform, a system, a process for every type of writer out there, no matter how disorganized you feel like you are, or non-techie, or if you're like type A and you like everything in its place, there is a platform that works for you. So for me, I like Dubsado. Other people like Harvest. Harvest is what I started out with to kind of just get invoicing. And if you time track a lot, Harvest is a good one. Moxie is a good one. There's a lot of different platforms that you can use. PandaDoc's another one that we can kind of use this to run our business. I also like to use Boomerang. Boomerang is how I follow up on all my stuff. I don't have to have a spreadsheet. I don't have to manually track anything. I just tell Boomerang to put all of my follow-up messages back in my inbox, and I follow up with those. It makes it super simple. They just arrive, and that's the day I'm supposed to follow up. So I use Boomerang a whole lot. And I feel like if we have these tools, like there's another tool called Tascade. So Tascade will help you basically gamify the process of you getting through your tasks, and it'll help you kind of create this waterfall effect of tasks where you can check things off and organize. It's like a different version of Notion, and Notion is another kind of tool that I use to organize all my notes and collect things in one place. But if you're someone who needs some kind of motivation or you need some kind of fun added in, Tascade is a good one. But we're also talking about, how do we follow up? How are we invoicing? How do we automate the process of following up on an invoice that's not paid, or a proposal or a contract that's not signed? Or we're automating someone who missed a phone call for a meeting, or there's lots of things. Like, that's why I love Dubsado, because I can automate all of those things. I can also create workflows. So I can go in and I can create a workflow to have a client sign up on my website to go in and fill out, like, what's the project, what's their budget, what's the timeline, how is everything working out. I can set up a form to do that on my website. Now, I don't always recommend that. I recommend that for more advanced freelance writers who are like, hey, I only want projects above 5 or 10K. Like, I'm not doing small stuff or one-offs. This is something I recommend if you're looking for those bigger projects, to filter out your inbound leads. Now, if you're at the point where you just want all the inbound leads, I don't recommend putting the form on there. But if you really want to hone in on the types of inbound leads that come in, create a form in Dubsado, and that way when someone's filling something out on your website to contact you, you'll have a bunch of information: the project, the budget, the timeline, what the company is, their website link, their blog link, or maybe links to other work that they're working on, social media handles, any other stats or information that you want. And it's automatically, when they fill it out, it goes into a lead, it goes into Dubsado, it creates a project for it. And then anything else you do for that client can be in that project. Super simple, super easy. You can also automate the process after they fill out the form. You can send them an automated email to book a call. You can send them follow-up emails. You can send them an initial invoice. You can send all of these things through the workflows that are really helpful. So when you're thinking about the back end of your business, I know that it can feel a little bit like we're working in a factory, but I want you to think of it as like a sexy factory. Like, this is a fun factory. This is a fungeon, a fun dungeon. So this is a fungeon where we go in, and all of these back-end processes, putting those things in place, the templates, the processes, the systems, the tools, that's what gets you your time back. That's what helps you move the needle on the right things, helps you make more money in less time, helps you work better with clients where you have these high-quality clients who are expecting a high-end experience. Now you can give it to them. So you have all these things in place, and I'm telling you that this time, when you put the tools in place, when you put the processes in place, or you put the steps in place, those things will pay off. They were something that I avoided, I was scared of so much in my business, just like rejection or imposter syndrome, all of that stuff. But it really makes a huge difference, and I feel like so many freelance writers don't focus on that. They're so focused on external stuff. They forget that there's lots of things they can do within their control on the back end of their business to get a ton of time back. So you can go work on paid work on your marketing, spend more time with your family, take more vacations, make more money in less time, all that good stuff. So that's number 2. Now we're going to talk about number 3. So number 3 here is you're not giving those questions to the right level of clients. So there's these specific questions. This is what ends up happening. I have students, or I have writers who ask me about getting more inbound leads. Inbound leads are great, but not if they're not high quality inbound leads. If you're getting a lot of inbound leads for $100 here, or $200 here, or $500 here, we're messing with the process. We need to fix that. So when you're putting these things together, you need to be answering the right questions in your website, in your LinkedIn, and on calls. And when you're asking these questions, you want to be asking smart, specific questions, because you have to meet these top level clients where they're at. This is kind of this misconception in freelance writing where a lot of people think that, oh, well, I just find the high quality clients, and then like once I find them, I'll just get work. Like, no, you have to meet them where they're at. They know when you're junior. Like, they can tell by how you communicate, how you're doing your marketing, how your website and LinkedIn sound, the copy on there, how you're doing your onboarding process, the questions that you ask on a call. So you need to show them you're already on their level. Like, you get it. And I always talk about this with my Wealth Lab students as the tuning fork. So this is the tuning fork technique. You have to be talking to them at the same level. So this is why I created my free cheat sheet. This was something that I get emails about this all the time, and I thought, well, why don't I just make a resource to just give them some of the questions and some of the tools. So if you go to mandyellis.com/cheat sheet, you can grab it, and it's for marketing, onboarding, asking questions during calls, answering questions on your website, and really putting in the processes and systems, like the actual checklist that you need to forge that gold standard freelance writing business. So when you're going through these things, that's why I put that together, so that you have the questions, you have the checkoffs for your marketing, you have the idea of how to onboard, how you're going to put together your website and LinkedIn, and what questions to answer. I want you to meet those high quality clients where they're at, because that's what gets them to reach out as a high quality inbound lead. Your website, your LinkedIn sings the same song. Then you get on a call and you ask the right questions. You're really putting in that effort to filter out the right clients from the time they land on your LinkedIn or your website to the time they get on the call to the time you sent a proposal. This filtering process really means that you're going to have efforts that pay off. I know that it limits the amount of clients, but that's what we want to do. We don't want to work for all the clients. We want to work for the right clients. So when we're putting these things together, they're not like little freebie things that we're putting in just to like do it real quick. Like, we're not like putting in like just a bunch of stuff just to like hopefully free up some time. What we're trying to do here is filter, filter, filter. So that way we get more of those high quality inbound leads in our inbox versus just more inbound leads. We get better calls, so we know when we're on a call with a potential client if they're a fit for us and if we're on the same level and we're talking about the project in the same way. And we're really getting to the point of having those long-term retainer style clients or people who are paying, 5 figures every year to work with you, that long-term work. It's something that for me, I felt like I really missed the boat on that for a long time. I really tried to be too professional. I tried to be professional Mandy. And for me, that just didn't work out. The more I was myself, the more I really put the answers to these questions in the cheat sheet within my LinkedIn and website and really asked the right questions on calls, the better quality clients I got, the more money I made, the more time I had to do other stuff, the more I had depth into what I really wanted in a client, what niches worked for me, what types of projects and clients I wanted. That really gave me a bunch of clarity. Last thing here, number four is we need to filter out when we're kind of going through our projects. So I really want you to pay attention to not being the buffet of options, okay? I feel like a lot of times when I look at a freelance writer's website or LinkedIn, they're often trying to put effort into every project that ever existed in content marketing or editorial work or content strategy. They're just like, the more stuff I offer, the more projects I'll get. No, it just makes you look like you're all over the place and not organized. I really want you to make sure that you are filtering out for the right projects. If you don't want to write press releases, don't put that on your website or LinkedIn. If you don't want to write any more blog posts, don't put that on your website. Make sure you're filtering out the right stuff because you could end up getting a whole bunch of inbound leads for projects you don't want to do because you're advertising that you do them. So you want to make sure that you're filtering out for these projects. That's where your effort goes. If you tell the world, hey, I do content strategy, even though you haven't done content strategy yet, but you know how to do the project, you know what deliverables are involved, you know how to deliver for your client, you know how to make sure you're doing the research and data part right and the analysis part right. You've been in this business for a really long time and you've written all the types of content and you know which ones would make sense for certain niches. We're applying that for our new client. We need to put that on our website and LinkedIn. We need to let them know what types of projects we're moving into because by the time someone lands on it, likely you will have already done that project. So you want to make sure that it's also kind of moving in the direction of your business. Where are you taking your business? So you need to filter out the projects, not all the projects, but the projects you want to do, the projects you're currently doing, the projects you want to do, and kind of your future projects all need to be on there. Those are really, really important. And then we have a question. I want to make sure that we go and get these questions in. So I have a place, if you go to mandyellis.com/question, if you ever have a question, you can pop it in there and I will answer it on the YouTube channel. So I have a question from Rachel. And Rachel says, I'm trying to break into writing content marketing materials like white papers, case studies, thought leadership articles for B2B clients in the health tech space. However, I've been freelancing for a while and most of my writing is blog posts for patients and consumers. So how can I use them as samples to reach out to clients in a new niche? This is why we're talking about this. This question is such a good one. I get it all the time. You have to leverage what you have. You have to leverage the clips that you have. So really what you want to do here, Rachel, is start putting those things on your website and LinkedIn. White papers, case studies, thought leadership, that should be on your website and LinkedIn. Now, what you could also do, that kind of helps with inbound leads. That helps with people finding you. If you're in health tech, they come across your place and they're like, sweet, she already does this type of work. 2, you can put it in your LOI. So you could end up putting that you do, you're starting a new focus on case studies, white papers, and thought leadership articles. Just caution on that because when I used to put certain types of content in my LOI when I was first starting out, I would send it out and people would think that's all I did and then I wouldn't get other work that I wanted. So I would be very targeted in who you send that to. So if you do add the types of content you want to work on in your LOI, make sure those are only going to health tech clients. That way you can get other work in other niches. And then 3, if someone reaches out to you, right, they answer your LOI, you get on a call, they're like, send me some samples, and you're like, I don't have any, right? Here's the deal. I don't have any isn't really a big deal. And it's not, there's very small numbers of clients who want you to have like a home run on the exact thing they want. So what you would do is like they reach out, they're like, hey, can you send us some samples? And you just say, I have some blog post samples in the health tech space. Here they are. And make sure those blog posts are like as close as possible as you can get to the type of content. So maybe you did a ghostwritten post that's close to thought leadership. Maybe you did something like a case study where you interviewed some people. That can be a replicable sample, like, or not replicable, a similar sample to a case study where you have interviews and data in there. And similar to a white paper where you have interviews or data, and send them those and say, hey, I'm moving my direction, or I'm moving my business in the direction of white papers and case studies. I noticed that my clients need those services more often, and now that I know how to do them, I'm moving my business in that direction. So I don't have samples yet, but here are samples that are similar, showing XYZ skills that have to do with case studies, white papers, and thought leadership. As long as you can plug those things together, clients are like, oh, okay. So as long as you tell them like, hey, I'm moving my business in this direction because I saw the need. So I built the skills, and yeah, I don't have clips yet, but here are 3 clips that are very similar to the style, tone, format, objective of a white paper, case study, or thought leadership article. Some clients will say yes and some will say no. More clients will say yes than you think. So there has been plenty of times where I did not have the right sample, the right clip, whether that was I needed a case study and I only had a blog post, or I had a clip that was like about food and I needed a clip about robotics. Like, I have used all kinds of clips that were just similar enough. Like, they structure, format, tone, style, sometimes topic. Just get as close as you can and let your client decide. And clients will often see your writing and be like, oh, I like this writing. I'm sure they can apply this to a different project. It's very similar. So good clients will see the similarities between a reported article with studies or data or charts, and you weaving in interviews amongst the data, having the connection point to a case study or a white paper. So that's the deal, is like, we're not reaching out to our clients with an LOI that's like, here's all the stuff, all the clips, all the things, all the blah, blah, blah. That's too much for them. Our goal with an LOI is to drive by. Hi, do you need help? I'm qualified. Here's my website and LinkedIn portfolio. Bye. That's it. Then the goal is to get on a call. The goal for them is to be like, cool, we have a project, or we need help, or whatever, to get on a call. Then we can kind of suss through what types of work they want. We can hopefully get samples from them of the types of things they're hoping to create. That's another way to pick out better clips, is if you ask them for samples and they give you samples and you're like, sweet, these are pretty close to mine. Even if it's not technically a white paper, just for context, I had a client who wanted me to write white papers, and what I wrote was not a white paper, but they said it was. So there's also this discrepancy sometimes where people say they want a white paper, and really what they want is just like a regular ass blog post that they're going to call a white paper. So if you can ask them for examples of the type of work that they're looking for, you can find clips of yours that match close enough and send those along. But like I said, make that connection for them. Make the connection between you building your business in a different direction, you adding in skills like interviewing or researching or data or whatever you're trying to use, leveraging skills for case studies and white papers and thought leadership, and that you don't have samples yet, but you have stuff that's pretty close, using those same skills, and kind of let that decision fall to them. So I hope that has been helpful. I hope that these things have been helpful, especially the question. If you're looking to kind of make sure that your effort is really going in the right direction, that you're not just going on the roller coaster of marketing, or you're working really, really hard on the hamster wheel and not getting things done, definitely grab my cheat sheet, mandyellis.com/cheat sheet. That is the onboarding and marketing step-by-step guide. It will give you the processes and systems and checklists that you need to go through to make sure you're answering or asking the right questions on your client call, answering the right questions on your website and LinkedIn, and you're also getting all the marketing done in the right way. So next time, we're going to talk about the struggle for clients. So we are going to talk about shifts that you need to make to win the end of the year. So in the next video, we're going to go over stuff for the end of the year. How are we going to finish up September through the end of the year? I know it's not quite September yet, but it will be. And I think for me, when I think about my business, September to the end of the year through December, even January to February, or even March, that is one of the best periods of the year every year for my business. So this is going to be a really important one. I hope you join me. I hope this has helped. If you ever have a question, you can always drop it at mandyellis.com/question. And I hope you take action on this. I hope you move towards those needle activities, those things that really change the flow and the direction of your business every day. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next time.